I also practiced painting, especially when I was in college. I would try to do matte paintings. And back then, the matte paintings were done using oils and acrylics on glass paint.
On
Wow.
So,
glass?
we weren't thinking about digital matte painting. They were done on glass paintings. They were real paintings. And
Oh,
the reason why they were done on glass panes because there was the hole that was left in it is where they would project the live action footage.
I think Star
oh,
Wars did this for A New Hope. So like those sequences where you actually see the long hallways that go down and you see Obi-Wan like sneaking onto the Death Star.
yeah, the corridors of the Death Star where he's like on the main reactor.
He's on that little reactor device. Yeah, that's a glass panel that was in front of the camera, and they shot it at like a really high aperture so that everything was in focus.
Yeah, it was a VistaVision camera. That's what it was called. And the matter of fact, the godfather of matte painting, Albert Whitlock, researched him all the way up to like one of the greatest matte painters ever, Michael Congrazio. He did the best matte painting ever done was the Raiders of the Lost Ark ending scene with the big warehouse full of all the different crates. Like
Oh,
90s. The only thing that's real is half that little walkway that the guy's pushing the ark through. Everything else is a painting.
Everything else was fake.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
that's
like hand
insane.
painted.
Pull up
Matter of fact, it was so good. Look how long it Look how long it was on the screen for like over half, for a third of the credits. Usually matte paintings, they didn't last. They didn't stay on the movie screen for longer than maybe 3 seconds. Because then you could see the brush strokes and you could see that
You'd start to, your eye would start
You
to pick up all the
actually
things that were.
wonder and actually
Yeah.
picking up on the things like,
Yeah.
oh wait, none of this is real.
Yeah, because movies didn't, even when they came out on videotape, if you paused it, you'd have a lot of tracking static. It wasn't like digital media today where you can pause something and it's just as clear as when you're watching it and you can analyze every frame and freeze it and look at. You couldn't do that back then. So they didn't, as long as it convinced the audience that it was real for the time it was up there on the screen, that's all that mattered. That matte painting was so good, it was up on the screen for 2 minutes.
That is crazy to be able to have that much and kind of like fool the audience for that amount of time with things that, like basically a 2D painting.
Talk about an illusion.
Yeah, that's about a pretty insane.
Illusion, like back before the CGI days, like the level of artistry you'd have to go through to just pull some of those. Like, it's such an analog trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched A New Hope so many times on VHS. I think I've worn out the VHS tape. I never. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's all a painting, traditionally hand painted painting.
Jeez, man.
ILM didn't go digital until after it's like the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s.
That's crazy to think about that, like, especially for wide set pieces. I imagine like, I think it was like I can't remember what director did it, but like the 50s interpretation of Odysseus, and then like Jason and the Argonauts, Planet of the Apes. Like, to think that at least from what I'm surmising, that at least a good portion of those were like matte paintings and matte backgrounds to be able to kind of convey this sense of unrealism for a second it's kind of crazy by today's standards because everything's done for us, and to show kind of analog work like that, that's insane.